Hi, I'm Andrew Heaton, and you're watching EconPop, the show that patrols the streets of popular culture, harassing pedestrians with the baton of economics. In the 1984 sci-fi thriller Robocop, after Officer Alex Murphy is brutally gunned down in the line of duty by a gang of ruthless criminals, he's brought back to life by a ruthless corporation with the not-at-all sinister name Omni Consumer Products. But there's a catch. Officer Murphy, once a loving family man, is now a walking, talking iPod, programmed to fight crime, uphold order, and protect the public trust. All in all, it's an excellent film about robots, explosions, more robots, public goods, explosions, and robots. In the film, the city of Detroit, plagued by violence and teetering on the verge of financial ruin, outsources its underfunded police department to Omni. During a corporate presentation, their new, heavily armored enforcement droid goes haywire and Gatling guns a junior executive to death. It's a pretty standard board meeting, but half an hour later, we find out that company president Dick Jones is also a greedy criminal.
What did you think? That you were an ordinary police officer? You're our product. And we can't very well have our products turning against us, can we?
It begs the question, when should a private company be employed to provide public goods? First, let's define what a public good is. In casual conversation, when someone says public good, they probably mean something that benefits lots of people or a service paid for through taxes. However, in economics, a public good refers to something very specific, not just something which benefits society. In economics, a public good is something jointly consumed. That means it's collectively used by a large group of people at once. For example, we don't use up national security one person at a time. Everyone in the country benefits from the military protecting us from Belgium. Think about the light from street lamps or standing downwind of my enticing cologne. Your enjoyment doesn't detract from someone else's. It's jointly consumed. Also, for some reason I attract deer. A public good is also non-excludable. This means you can't prevent people from using it. You can exclude someone from an amusement park by charging a ticket to get in, or at least make me buy a good ladder to hop the fence. But if you build a lighthouse to protect sailors from smashing against rocks, ships are going to benefit from that public good regardless of how much you yell at them not to. Trying to exclude them would be like trying to charge someone admission to a fireworks show. Law enforcement is another example of a public good. Everyone benefits from the police keeping my activities in check. Police efforts are jointly consumed and not excludable, unless the police chief is directed to ignore certain parts of town for political reasons or prioritizes one neighborhood over another for lack of funding. In that case, it might well make sense to hire your own private security. Mall cops, home surveillance equipment, and club bouncers are all examples of private sector security. Thanks to me, William Shatner employs a full-time bodyguard. How to pay for public goods is an important issue. Everyone benefits from public goods like clean air and scenic views or crime deterrence. One line of thought is that if something is really important, like fire departments or scotch, it can't be left to the market. The idea is that if it's unprofitable to maintain something vitally important to society, like scotch, then we have to rely on taxes and the government to ensure it happens. Let's go back to fire departments. Imagine if they were corporations and you had to haggle with the chief about premiums while your roof was on fire. That sounds terrible. But right now, most American firefighters aren't municipal employees. About 70% of the firefighters in the United States are volunteers. Society is bigger than both the government and for-profit corporations, and a lot of the time, charities, churches, and even college sororities do an excellent job of providing public goods.
What about this police thing? What's the problem?
Their union's been bitching ever since we took over. You know, the usual nonsense. We'll turn things around.
In Robocop, Detroit outsourced its police force to a for-profit business, which in the film has mixed results. On the one hand, they build an impressive cyborg patrolman to apprehend ne'er-do-wells. On the other hand, some of their leadership suffers from being evil and murdering people. That sounds grisly, so let's look at real-life Detroit. In 2013, real-life Detroit filed for bankruptcy. It had been ranked the most violent city in America 4 years running. At one point, the Detroit Police Officers Association issued a warning to citizens and out-of-towners that they should enter the city at their own risk due to the grossly understaffed and overworked police force. Keep in mind, this is real Detroit, not the Robocop version. Meanwhile, this year, Detroit started building a $137 million commuter train spanning a little over 3 miles. That light rail neatly complements the new hockey stadium, $285 million of which will come from taxpayers, who may or may not care about hockey, but definitely care about being shot. Arguably, real Detroit's government has failed at managing public goods. Public goods are a tough issue, and there's no black and white answer on who provides them better. But at least with the private sector, you can cancel a bad company's contract or quit donating to the Shriners if they start murdering people. I would at least consider living in Delta City, the ominous private metropolis under construction in Robocop. It probably has nicer bathrooms. And I don't care about hockey stadiums because I'm not Canadian. Real Detroit is a mess, so I'd rather take my chances with the capitalist robots.